It's February 2nd, 2024. They just aired on yesterday, February 1st, 2024, which is a Thursday, which again, I know Thursday is important, but they aired the Star Trek Voyager episode of Relativity. Um, I noticed, like, it came out in 1999. I'm in the year 2024 while I'm making this under whatever the conditions are here. It ties into the episode, which is the U.S.S Relativity. I'm going to make some documentations of what's going on in the news also. I will note that President Joseph Biden is the United States of America president, and his Secretary of Defense is Lloyd Austin. Don't think it's lost on me that 512, which is the date that this episode air at Nelson, like the NASA administrator level, I'm in 718, which is like a John Glenn birth date tie-in for the born in 1921 crew. And then Lloyd Austin, and I think it's Austin, Texas, is the 512 in area code. So there's some whatever in the whatever. I'm not going into it, but I know that I'm in 8-foot ceilings. I think maybe this is 10. I call it 8-foot ceilings because it's low. And at the moment, I'm barefoot and in a form fit. So I have one barefoot, one broken ankle in a form fit, which I know is important to the person that I met that I was supposed to marry before whatever happened with the crazy donkey setup meeting and then the blacksmith. So I'm going to pause this for a second because today Austin came out with his apology for this cancer diagnosis. I found that really interesting because when I arrived to Earth via natural birth through my mother, before I gave birth to Special Clock as RH sensitive in New York, my they gave me a friend, and she's a Cancer. I'm the Leo, she's the Cancer. So I just find that really interesting about this cancer diagnosis because, I get how the inside ties things together, usually with really nice, neat symmetry at surgical. I can either do this with an axe or a scalpel. I mean, it's really that simple at certain levels. I'm going to pause this for a second, and I'm going to just make note of where the U.S.S Relativity is incredibly important. And it says here, the captain of a future ship contacts 7 of 9 to go back in time. I mean, field of science I'm currently in, field of science I was taken to, interviewed with the college, was brought home in big black truck to 3 Glen Way after I was called to them via Blue Princess phone in the kitchen. Whatever happened, which I have no memory of, and then brought back to 3 Glen Way in a handhold with someone, brought to the mantle, walked over the threshold, returned back to my parents, and was expecting some form of communication. They were going to leave, and I was to hear from them. That was, 93, 94? Something along those lines. And here I am in 2024.
Welcome back.
Why have you brought me here?
For some reason, I always think you'll remember. I'm Captain Braxton. This is Lieutenant Duquesne. You're aboard the Federation timeship Relativity.
I'm no longer in the 24th century.
No. For you, it's almost 500 years later. We brought you here to help us solve a mystery. Someone, we don't know who, has planted a weapon aboard Voyager. It's designed to fracture space-time within a radius of 150 meters.
Why do you need me?
Your ocular implant. It can detect disruptions in space-time better than our sensors. You're more familiar with Voyager and her crew, less likely to arouse suspicion. So far, you've been quite useful.
So far?
We've recruited you twice before for this mission. Take a look. A Force 3 temporal disruptor. Your previous attempts to disable it have been unsuccessful. We're trying to catch the saboteur before he places the weapon on Voyager.
Do you have...
Now, my instinct and intuition tells me, at telepathy, that this is imperial science taught at very special academy, for which I'm in like sex slave state school, where it is not the same level of education. So there is big disparity in speak as you are, we'll speak as we are, and whatever and whatever. So later it goes into other paradox, which I can fully follow. I mean, I've done this since I was a child, but it's concerning to me based on what is showing up and what the television is showing, which is so drastically different than when the television first came out in like my great grandmother's day, to my mother, to myself, and now with children here. Now, this is what the episode says.
This is Lieutenant Duquesne. You're aboard the Federation timeship Relativity.
I'm no longer in the 24th century.
No. For you, it's almost 500 years later. We brought you here to help us solve a mystery. Someone, we don't know who, has planted a weapon aboard Voyager. It's designed to fracture space-time within a radius of 150 meters.
Why do you need me?
Your ocular implant. It can detect disruptions in space-time better than our sensors. You're more familiar with Voyager and her crew, less likely to arouse suspicion. So far, you've been quite useful.
So far?
We've recruited you twice before for this mission. Take a look. A Force 3 temporal disruptor. Your previous attempts to disable it have been unsuccessful. We're trying to catch the saboteur before he places the weapon on Voyager.
Do you have a suspect?
Not yet.
Do you know when the device was placed?
Not precisely, but we've narrowed the window to a period 2 years before you joined the crew, when the ship was under attack.
Species 329, the Kazon.
Our database indicates that Voyager was boarded twice during that period.
The Kazon are an inferior species. They don't possess the technology to create such a complex weapon.
We believe the saboteur infiltrated this time frame because Voyager's shields were down. It was the perfect opportunity to evade detection.
If I fail, you will recruit me again.
If necessary. But this will be the third time you're going to be removed from your time frame. If we do it a fourth, there could be certain side effects.
Side effects?
You might experience sensory aphasia. It affects the cerebral cortex and can lead to temporal psychosis. But in your case, we're hoping third time's a charm, eh?
I'll do my best.
Bring her up to date on our protocols.
But the enemy that's infiltrated New York, who hides in the hospital system, let's just call it Stony Brook and Amni, whatever, psychiatric center, they call it bipolar and schizophrenia. Not so fast. And when I asked for an NSA rep or somebody from the CIA, they denied me. Even further asking, like trying to make the diagnosis like as if I was absolutely crazy. if if I was abducted by aliens, there would be signs. And currently, when I see who's head of Secretary of Defense, it looks tribal. And when I look out to some of, like, there's two wars going on in the Alam, in like the outside, the great beyond. So they claim, like, whoever, like, again, these are just labels. It's like saying like Versace and Gucci are fighting on the runway. I mean, it's theater. It's not where they put me. I was supposed to be like, again, the correct marriage, and however that works, not just dumped back in New York to like try to struggle and survive and whatever, have the child, which I did. Now, here's the United States of America, which has a monetary system, which has its own internal workings, and which has a flag and a very defined internal states system and federal system. Was here when I arrived and is still here right now. I go outside, I see the same flag. So I'm going to put up what the seated president of the United States is saying and his secretary of defense about the cancer. And his name just happens to be the area code for Austin, Texas in 512 for that very specific episode of Star Trek on Voyager. For, again,
and we'll never forget the sacrifices and service to our country, that the dozens of service members who were wounded and are recovering now.
As for the U.S. response to the attack,
it's time to take away even more capability than we've taken in the past.
U.S. officials tell CBS News that targets in Iraq and Syria have been approved, including against Iranian personnel and facilities in those countries. And Iran's president, Ibrahim Raisi, responded today, saying Iran won't start a war, but will respond strongly to anyone who bullies it. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin says this time will be different from the retaliatory strikes launched in response to other recent attacks.
They have a lot of capability. I have a lot more.
Walking with a limp into the Pentagon briefing room, it was Austin's first meeting with reporters since his hospitalization in December. He also said he apologized directly to President Biden for keeping his fight with prostate cancer a secret.
We did not handle this right. I did not handle this right. I should have told the president about my cancer diagnosis. I should have also told my team and the American public. And I take full responsibility. I apologize to my teammates and to the American people.
As far as the status of Secretary Austin's health is concerned, he said he's still dealing with leg pain but is going to physical therapy, and that doctors are confident he will continue to improve. Tony.
You know, Ed, in other news tied to the region, President Biden issued this executive order yesterday sanctioning 4 Israelis. These are settlers, people who are living inside the lines of what could be a future Indian state, seen as an obstacle to peace. What's it all about?
Yeah, it means the U.S. can now sanction any settlers or anyone else who commits or threatens violence or destruction of property in the Israeli-occupied West Bank. In essence, it reiterates U.S. support for the so-called two-state solution, or a separate Palestinian state.
Yeah, again, they have tribal course and discourse. That's part of this Tuskegee thing that I've recently found out with Aerial America. They've got something going on there, which I don't comment on, other than in New York at the moment, it feels like closing in, almost like in, I think they had it up for Oklahoma. Maybe it was Kansas. Maybe it was Oklahoma. I keep saying Oklahoma, but maybe it was Kansas with the surrounding. I put up the thing on my Facebook, so I have mention of it in place and space and time. So it is. So there's that, and then there's this. I was not approached locally in New York by like a Navy or a Coast Guard or like Army or like anything service related, National Guard. I mean, I was kept in Glenway, and then it was whatever. And so, but then again, I'm RH like sensitive, so I don't know if that has something to do with it. So, I just saw on the evening news at 4 o'clock, they have on a service member again, and they keep like again, if there's like, I don't know how to like mention things in like intelligent community, which is where I'm not, but it might, I mean, like again, if you have to address "in God we trust" directly, it seems very crucial and an important piece to like safety and well-being and what's going on around you and in the area. Well, it no longer feels like home and like America. I don't know where my person went. I don't know why I was withheld from his entire life and for my childbearing years. I'm not clear on that. I don't know. But it seems like there's a lot at stake and a lot of gameplay. And it seems like I got hurt along the way. But I still have this timepiece, which at shuttlecraft, at like the inside space, a space program in time and space, more in like imperial science, it seems incredibly crucial and like vital. um, so I'm going to pause this for a second and show what are they hiring for these positions, because even when I went to Boy Scouts and I scouted out Boy Scouts for my son's age, I went to Virginia. I went through their public system to scout out for Benjamin when he was younger. I've and I know what they were being put in with as far as housing, like for public school for education and learning. I know where my son Anthony is right now. Um, and so, and then when we went to Sea Cadets, like crawling all over the equipment, I know what they look like. And I'm like, why are they on the U.S. naval equipment and in the air hangar? And like, what happened to, like, again, in time and space and time dilation and equipment? And where am I at, like, the mouth of the Hudson, East River, and the Sound of Long Island in the Northern American hemisphere? It seems like really critical seafaring equipment on top of aerial America and land base, and then you've got aerospace. I mean, there's these crucial pieces. So I'm going to just pause this for a second and pull up what they're alerting me. So it's in the same time and space at the moment for like for my data file. I'm going to pause this for a second. So this is what they have up for local New York with U.S. Coast Guard at the moment.
With David Muir.
A special ceremony on Staten Island today to honor a Black woman who will make history by becoming the highest-ranking African-American woman in the Coast Guard's 223-year history. Staten Island Borough President Vito Fossella congratulated Captain Zita Merchant on her upcoming promotion to the rank of Admiral at Borough Hall. Merchant says her 27-year-long career has taken a lot of sacrifice, perseverance, and hard work, but she says she had help along the way.
I could not have gotten here without the people from the day I walked in the door at my...
Again, when I walked in the door, first day of St. John's Preparatory, in order to sign up just for high school, just so I could get the diploma of high school, after leaving Cold Spring Harbor because something happened in my father's business, um, which forced us to sell the house and move again. More internal mechanisms on Long Island in a really bad situation. And this is what's going on. This look was there. This is also the same look that was at Francis Boyce, that was at SUNY Empire State College when I was university, when I went for my college degree, and I told Dr. Todd, he was also he was service oriented, but I told him the problems that Francis Boyce was giving me back then. So I registered it with a witness. And so it's just repeated what's been barriers in my way after this lifelong problem in New York.
My first unit, or the day that I started at boot camp, that embraced me and made sure that the Coast Guard was where I wanted to be and should be.
Well, she will take over a new post in Washington, D.C. once she is promoted officially in April.
Congratulations to the Admiral. Coming up, meet the youth choir that is taking their talents to one of the biggest stages in the country. If I could just ask you to look up from whatever screen you are using right now.
So I'm glad that she had this wonderful U.S. experience, and this wonderful service department that welcomed her in, gave her this, and paid her no less. I have not had the same blessings from the system, for which the monetary is whatever it is at this point. It's Washington. It's the General George Washington, First President George Washington, and on the back it reads ONE for one, and it says in God, being the God, we, WE, trust. Critical intelligence. It's star 1978, star 8378, Nicole, Cattaruzza. It's Earth, solar system, Milky Way, universe, galaxy is broken. Yesterday, I went to star rehabilitation. What I call insult to my intelligence, which is the blacksmith, dropped me off in my car that I can't drive at the moment because of the broken ankle. I went into the building by myself. I took the elevator. And it's interesting how it has lobby, and then you go down for stars rehabilitation. I don't know why that just, where's the lobby? Why is the lobby bringing the stars down in order for them to be rehabilitated? That's a really great question from like the mother with the kid with the eye in the future. So here we are, went down the hallway. I passed the network closet, I passed the telecom, and I went straight into the stars rehabilitation. Just like, where was I yesterday? That's where I was yesterday. It's star 1978, star 8378, Nicole, Cattaruzza. It's Earth, solar system, Milky Way, universe, galaxy is broken, and it's Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361.